Game day's here, I can hear the crowd. Turn on the lights, hands are cranked up and loud. Red or blue, we wear it proud. Yeah, we love our teams in this border town. Chiefs and Royals, Blue Mizzou, Rock Chalk, Jayhawk, KU. Hear that drum pounding in your feet. Yeah, you're marching to the beat of KC.
What is going on, YouTube? What is going on, Kansas City? What is going on, Jayhawk Nation? And what is going on, everybody? And welcome to the Beat of KC. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Lucas Murphy, and I'm excited to bring you yet again another pregame for the Kansas Jayhawks basketball team. This time, the Kansas Jayhawks will be returning back to Allen Fieldhouse for a Saturday matchup against the Cincinnati Bearcats that will kick off at noon Central Standard Time. Now, the Bearcats come into Allen Fieldhouse with an overall of 14-12 and 6-7 in Big 12 play. Now, they are more of a middle to lower tiered team in this Big 12, but they do have some impressive wins really mixed into that overall record. And I think one of the big things is that Cincinnati has shown some resilience. They've shown some recent road victories and really some strong scoring performances, and we'll really kind of compare these two teams in that category. I also think that the Cincinnati Bearcats have some tremendous basketball players, and I think that they are going to compete maybe a little bit better than what we recently saw in the Oklahoma State Cowboys. You know, the Kansas Jayhawks are coming off of an absolute decimation of the Oklahoma State Cowboys on the road in Stillwater. And I think what was unique is, yes, the Kansas Jayhawks pulled out a victory of 81-69, but literally from the opening tip-off, Kansas never surrendered the lead and maintained that lead for the entire really time of that game. Now, what's unique too is Darryn Peterson, ladies and gentlemen, and we're going to talk pretty intensely about him because there's just so many question marks around him. We know what he's capable of doing when he's on the basketball court. We saw it firsthand when he played against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. In just 18 minutes, he was absolutely scorching hot, scoring 20, and he would pull himself out of the game. The biggest question around Darryn Peterson is his health, is his ability to play in an entire game. But I think when you really go a little bit more granular than that, you're really seeing that this team has learned and adapted to play without him. And the versatility from not only the starting rotation, but the depth that comes off the bench is really starting to learn to play without him. We saw a perfect example of that. Minutes before the game started against Arizona at home, we find out Darryn Peterson was not going to be available. Yet the Kansas Jayhawks go out there and give Arizona their first loss, not only in Big 12 play, but their overall record now has, at that time, had one loss. They've since lost another game since that, but Kansas was the first one to really put a blemish on their record. And so they did that without Darryn Peterson. I'm extremely excited about how this team is starting to play back up again. You know, they did go to Ames. They really got embarrassed in Ames, Iowa. You know, Hilton was next level. It is always an extremely tough road game for the Kansas Jayhawks because they just take it to a new level. And, you know, obviously Iowa State is playing extremely good basketball. TJ has them playing at a next level. And Iowa State is a very high-level team ranked very high in the top 25. So you expect something like that. Now, Kansas is going to play a few games like this Cincinnati game, which we're going to break down here recently to kind of build momentum, really kind of get the gears going again and kind of get back on the road to success. And they definitely did that against the Oklahoma State Cowboys. Now, when you really look at how the Cincinnati Bearcats and the Kansas Jayhawks match up as a team, points per game, Cincinnati's averaging 72.3, where the Kansas Jayhawks are averaging 77.3. Now, points allowed, there are flat even, ladies and gentlemen. Cincinnati has allowed 67, where Kansas is allowing 68, and their field goal percentages are pretty much equal as well, and 43% for the Bearcats and 47% for Kansas. So when it comes to those three aspects, they're pretty evenly matched. Now, when you kind of get even more granular under the microscope, we're really going to look at this team. Now, Miller is a forward. He's probably their team leader for the Bearcats. He's the centerpiece of Cincinnati's roster. He's averaging around a double-double, points and rebounds with additional assists, steals and blocks contributions. multiple standout games this season, including a 26-point, 14 rebound on 11 of 12 shooting, and 21 rebounds in another dominant win, showing his interior force on both ends of the court. He's one of the few players in the nation averaging at least 14 points, 10.7 rebounds, and 3.1 assists, making him a true all-around matchup challenge for Kansas. And so it's going to be fascinating to really see how we match up against a guy like that. Now, we've seen guys like that. We've seen a JT Toppin, who was the former Big 12 Player of the Year. We saw Flory Badunga play one of the best basketball games against him as far as locking him down and really not even allowing him to contribute in that game. We've seen a slew of them. Jefferson from Iowa State really hasn't erupted and gone off against this Kansas Jayhawks team, who has been a very high-level basketball player for the Iowa State Cyclones. So Miller can also be kind of put in that category if Flory really plays at a high level. And you got to pair that with a guy like Bryson Tiller, who I expect to have another phenomenal game. Now, James is a guard. He's provided big perimeter scoring, including a 24-point explosion where he shot 6 of 8 from the three-point range in a win over Kansas State. Kansas State is obviously struggling, recently terminated, their head coach. They're trying to figure things out, over there in the Little Apple in Manhattan, Kansas. But James's ability to space the floor and hit timely threes makes him a dangerous offensive weapon, really, for the Cincinnati Bearcats. The matchup to watch with that aspect is Kansas must stay disciplined on closeouts, giving James open triples could swing momentum for those Bearcats quickly. And we know Kansas often comes out at halftime ice cold, ladies and gentlemen. We saw that in multiple games. A perfect example was really this most recent game on the road when they went to Ames, Iowa. Now, they went into the halftime, they were down 10 points, but coming out, they were extremely cold. Iowa State was on the complete opposite, was absolutely scorching hot, and just really kind of ran away with that game. Now, I'm not saying that can happen in Allen Fieldhouse. I mean, it can, but I truly believe that Allen Fieldhouse just provides another kind of avenue for Kansas to kind of really impact a game. In a market that never sleeps, one name rises above the rest. Lisa Miller from Miller-Lynch Real Estate. Trusted by hundreds and recognized across the Midwest. She delivers results when it matters the most. With over 13 years of experience and licenses in both Kansas and Missouri, Lisa isn't just selling houses. She's helping you find a place to call home. Whether you are a first-time homebuyer, looking to upsize, or selling your current home, Lisa makes the process smooth and stress-free. As a local expert passionate about building lasting relationships, she ensures her clients feel confident and satisfied every step of the way. Don't wait, your perfect home is just a call away. Contact Lisa today at 913-579-3246 or 913-369-3000 or visit LisaMillerSellsKC.com. Let Lisa Miller at Lynch Real Estate help you start your next exciting chapter. And let her know the beat of KC, Lucas Murphy, sent you her way. Now, another guy to watch, and this is one that I'm curious to see how he matches up against this Kansas, is Thame. He's a center. He's 7'2". He's a legitimate rim protector who also swings the possession. His combination of rebounds and blocks, like a game with 15 points, 10 rebounds, and 4 blocks, shows his two-way value. His height and presence inside can make it tougher for Kansas to score easy shots near the basket. Now, we saw when they played Arizona, we really struggled down low for a while. Bill Self made adjustments, and that kind of flipped the script on Arizona, and they really didn't have that same kind of down low presence in the second half. There's a chance Kansas is going to have to make that same adjustment. With a guy like Thame and a guy like Miller, those are two pretty decently big bigs, and Kansas is going to have to match up with those guys, with Tiller and obviously Flory, to make sure that they're limiting how those guys really play. Now, another guy to pay attention to is Thomas. He's not just a scorer. He's often one of Cincinnati's top playmakers. He's leading in assists per game, offering reliable perimeter shooting as well. In key wins this season, Thomas has provided clutch buckets and really a tempo control, especially late in games. Now, some supporting cast to really kind of pay attention to is Celestine. He can score from deep and hit open shots, shown by multiple double-figure games, including 14 points versus UCF. Tillery, which is another guard that offers a lift off the bench and capable of playmaking in really limited minutes. And then to really wrap out kind of their scope of their team, Harris brings defensive energy, steals, boosting Cincinnati's backcourt defense. So they do have some depth that can provide some decent minutes for them. So when you really look at this, how did the Bearcats kind of play? They're balanced scoring. Bearcats have had multiple games this year with 5+ players scoring in double figures. It's really critical in their offensive rhythm. Their defensive disruption, Cincinnati forces double-digit turnovers frequently, which is a category Kansas struggles on a decent rate, which can ignite transition buckets and disrupt Kansas's offensive sets. And finally, rebounding punch with Miller and Thame leading the rebounds. They can extend possessions and limit second chance points, and that's another thing to pay attention to is, can they get those offensive rebounds, kick it back out, and force more open shots? Something Kansas has going to have to continue to improve on are those second chance opportunities. I truly feel that Kansas will pull this one out. I don't think that this game is going to be a massive blowout, similar to how it was against Oklahoma State. I think Kansas will come out on top because they are playing at home. I think no matter the situation with Darryn Peterson, this team has shown the ability to play at a high level at home. And I think that this team is going to really step up in a big way. We did see down games more recently in the Oklahoma State game from guys like, Melvin Council Jr. Flory obviously didn't have as highlight of a game as he has been as of late, but those guys can continue to build on what they've been doing. And I think that's what's key is this team is just so deep. The scores can come from any of those guys. They can really hit the boards. They play at a very high level of defense. I anticipate that the Jayhawks will come out on top. And this is just an extremely important game because you're going to continue to climb up in the Big 12 rankings. And really when it comes down to it, you need these types of wins, especially when your final 2 games are against teams that are at the top of the Big 12 in Houston and Arizona. So you're really going to need these types of wins to really continue to kind of climb and challenge for that Big 12 title. I'm excited. Now, to really kind of finish this video out, I do want to talk about Darryn Peterson. Darryn Peterson, like we stated, absolutely erupted in the first half against Oklahoma State. Had 23 points in 18 minutes. But he pulls himself out really quickly into the second half. Now, I think what's big about this is the fact that the national media doesn't often talk about, really, in my opinion, college basketball too much, especially on shows like ESPN. When you get the late nights with Scott Van Pelt, you start getting, shows that are talking heads during the day. It's just not often that you see really college basketball, specifically Kansas, just become popular. And really what's going on is you're visually seeing now a situation with Darryn Peterson where he taps Bill Self, immediately comes out and doesn't play the rest of the second half. National media ran with that today, ladies and gentlemen, and they really talked about Darryn Peterson, his ability to stay and maintain playing in the games, how many games he's missed this season. And a lot of people are starting to question whether his ability to go first overall is even really still a thing. Because if he can't stay on the floor, what do scouts, what do NBA ownership groups really value? But ladies and gentlemen, I think when you really kind of look at it too, his ability to just play the game of basketball and just show you that he scored 23 points in 18 minutes alone, his ability to score, his ability to drive, his ability to play defense, all that is prevalent. It's the fact that he can't get on the court, he can't stay on the court. There's these lingering issues that are constantly coming about. And I'd be curious if, this continuation of kind of being talked about in a national light may impact them in a little bit. I don't think it'll specifically bother those other guys because they're going to go out and play the game the way they're supposed to. But does this light a fire under Darryn Peterson? Does this give him an opportunity to show, hey, I'm going to start to flip the script. I'm not going to be sitting out of half the game. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to prove that I can play full games. I can do what is asked of me. Those are a lot of questions that I have. And I think that, it'd be nice to see Darryn Peterson contribute at a significant pace in this game against Cincinnati because I don't think anybody can really attest or guard or really erase a Darryn Peterson. The only thing that's been able to erase Darryn Peterson is that injury. So it'll be interesting to just see, is he going to play? Is he going to contribute? And at what level? I appreciate y'all checking out this video. Make sure you guys smash that like button, smash that subscribe button, and I end every video the exact same way. Have a good day.